Barrett Salee joining me here from Locked On College Football Smothered and Covered alongside Locked On Big 12. A little crossover where we talk the Colorado Buffs here. Deion Sanders and company have wiggled their way into the top 25. Barrett, buy or sell Colorado as of late October?
I say this as somebody who never really bought into Colorado having actual football success, but you have to buy. Yeah, you have to buy. Like, I thought going into season 2, hey, if they make a bowl game, Deion might deserve Coach of the Year candidate discussion. Now, we didn't know Kurt Cignetti was going to do this and Clark Lee, but whatever. I'm buying because they've found a way to disguise their weaknesses. They are not a complete team, right? That you look at Colorado play, they've still got some offensive line issues.
No doubt.
Got some depth issues, whatever. All of those things still exist. They found a way to work around it. And in a Big 12 where you kind of just throw up your hands and say, I don't know what's going to happen on every single week. What we do know is Colorado keeps finding ways to win, and the schedule sets up so well for them at Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, and Oklahoma State. Before the season, we'd look at that and be like, holy crap, they're going to lose 3 or 4 of those. And now it's like, holy crap, they could win out. Like, legitimately, they could win out. And honestly, with a healthy Travis Hunter and a healthy Shedeur Sanders, that might be all that they need, which is crazy thinking, considering that's Utah and Oklahoma State in that group, the 2 teams that I thought would play in the Big 12 championship game. It's Tom Luganville and I said this on SiriusXM on Sunday, and both of us were sort of the same breath with Colorado. Even after the 3-0 start last year, they might only win 3 or 4 games last year. Even after that, it obviously happened. And this year, get to a bowl game and you're good. You have to recalibrate your view of everything. We could be talking about Colorado actually in the playoff discussion, which, like, I have kids, anger in what's the movie about feelings? God, I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah.
Inside Out. The gif of anger and his head exploding. Like, that's what I feel like right now, thinking that Colorado could actually go to the Big 12 championship game and the college football playoff, even if they don't go to the conference championship game. But to Deion's credit, man, he's built this thing in a way where, okay, you're competitive in the Big 12. Yeah. Even if you're not that competitive nationally, you can put yourself in a position to get in. And think about what would happen if they get to the Big 12 championship and or the college football playoff. It doesn't matter if they get smoked.
Yeah,
they could lose 50-0. It doesn't matter because he was hired to make Colorado cool again. And he did it. That was his first job. First responsibility, he did it. And his second responsibility, or third, fourth, and fifth, depending on what Rick George actually has in that contract, is to make them winners. So I'm buying them. I think that, okay, they might drop one of those games because there's still talented players on some of those teams that have underachieved. But even even if they lose every game from here on out, it's a success. But no, I'm buying them. I think that when the selection committee releases their rankings, you're going to see them probably ranked higher than we think. And if they keep winning, we have to legitimately discuss them as a playoff team in addition to a Big 12 championship caliber team.
I think I'm more of a Tim and Eric guy myself. That's my little with the fireworks in the background.
I like it.
One of the great gifts that exists in the world.
Absolutely.
This reminds me vaguely, they're a much better team, but bear with me on the reference, of Trae Young's Oklahoma team.
Lost to Hawks. The Hawks super, like I'm a long-suffering Hawks fan, so I really appreciate Trae Young.
They lose to Rhode Island in the NCAA tournament. We all look around and we're like, why were they there in the first place? Well, because Trae Young was such an elite player, you kind of couldn't leave him out of March Madness.
Correct.
Not that I think Colorado's more complete than that Oklahoma basketball team, sure, but I am confident 10-2 Colorado would get in the playoff over 10-2 Kansas State, or if we get there, 10-2 Indiana or 10-2 Iowa State, because
I would say even a 10-2 SEC team.
Yeah,
because if you have 5 10-2 SEC teams, whether the playoff committee says it or not, they're not going to want to put that many SEC teams in.
No,
and
I don't
they're
think they
sure
do.
as hell going to want to put Colorado in.
Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders,
Yeah.
the Heisman Trophy winner Travis Hunter, who just won Defensive and Offensive Player of the Week in the Big 12.
They will never admit
same
it, but
week.
they 100% will consider it, even if it's subconsciously.
Yes.
Even if it's subconsciously.
And with that, I think the best case scenario, we will get here to talking more playoff in the third segment, but the best case scenario is Colorado goes 10-2, misses the Big 12 championship. They can miss the Big 12 championship, and we still look around and go, hey, wait a second. They're 10-2, number 13 in the country, and at least a bubble team. Does their brand get them in?
They'll never say that, but yes, it'd almost be better if they didn't make the Big 12 championship game in that scenario. But yeah, they're the name brand. I've gone through that process, the mock process. Like, they never say things that are reality, right? Everyone put your hat on the hat tree on the way in. Like, of course, people are going to have biases that benefit their permanent actual job, right? Of course, those people will. Of course, the success of the playoff and the money that it brings in matters. It just does.
Yep.
And you could go back to the Big 12 with Ohio State, TCU, and Baylor. If Ohio State wasn't Ohio State, let's just say it was Indiana, they wouldn't have gotten in.
Right.
Of course, they wouldn't have gotten in. So the name brand matters. No offense to anybody else in the Big 12. Colorado is light years in terms of name brand.
And that is, I want to correct us a bit here, Barrett. Deion Sanders is light years ahead when it comes to name brand. You know, I mean, that's
fair enough.
For a Colorado school they went 14 out of the last 16 years without going 500. Putrid, terrible football. And then Deion Sanders shows up day one, and they immediately become a national story. And
what you just said so crazy, because I'm 44, and like my entire middle school and high school time, I'm like, Colorado is always in the discussion for a national championship.
Oops. Yeah, that's been a long time there, Barrett. I'm sorry to add that one in. Time flies when you're watching Colorado football. They have been bad. And now Deion Sanders brings them to the forefront. And at the very least, they're a national conversation enough to be in the college football playoff. Speaking of that, let's go into how many Big 12 teams can get in. And if it's still just one, that was the preseason consensus. It's shaking out a bit differently. This is a Locked On Big 12, Locked On College Football, smothered and covered crossover. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, the show today is brought to you by FanDuel. The reason that I love FanDuel is because I can say, hey, FanDuel, I think that Colorado is going to beat Cincinnati, and I think they're going to cover the 5-6 points that you're giving me. So I'm going to go on FanDuel and give them my money in reference to Colorado. And then when Colorado wins, FanDuel says, not only here is your money back, but here's more money on top of that because you were correct in your assessment. And that's the beauty of FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, you can make live bets too. Middle of a game, your team's down by 14. You know they're going to come back. Go bet on them live on FanDuel. And new customers can get $5. So you can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Again, you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com today. FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.